everyone, and welcome. We are back with the Grimm Femmes project. Oh, look at this layout. Sorry. Uh, with the Grimm Femmes project, and this is Beyond the Veil, and this is part two of the invitation. So I think, what are we doing? Let's start there. We are. This is a Dungeons and Dragons 5e ish game where we walk through and process real life trauma using storytelling and safety tools. So we have a variety of safety tools that we will be using both on screen and off screen. If you ever have any questions about it, please don't hesitate to drop them in chat or tweet at one of us online on the Twitter sphere. I want to thank the R for being such a wonderful and safe incubator that it is and for giving us the space to do this. Thank you to Maria for running tech and making these amazing and stunning overlays that we see here. And also thank you to Sam Darcy for the logo for Grim Femmes. Unfortunately, this evening, C will not be joining us as Billion. She will be off taking care of some personal things, and we are sending her all of our love and support. So why don't we go around and have these beautiful, wonderful, amazing, creative, inspiring humans that I am so lucky to share a space with introduce themselves. Um, why don't we go ahead and start with Val?
I'm always so prepared with my mouse over that unmute button. Hi everybody, I'm Val. I'm the Nerdy Niffler on the Twitters, and tonight I'm playing Lapis, and both of us use she/her pronouns, and she is a Kashta Druid of the Dream Circle. I'm very prepared.
I think you're doing really great. Why don't we swing over to Anders?
Hello, I'm Anders at Anders_D_K on the internet. I use he, him pronouns, and tonight I will be playing Tate, who is a abjuration wizard, Asmar, who also uses he, him pronouns. And I'm yawning a bunch, but I think it's nerves, so don't judge me.
Everybody breathe. We're doing really great. Let's go right on down to Maria.
Hello, I am Maria. I use she, they pronouns. You can find me at Happy Capster all over the place these days. And today I will be playing Irene, also known as Prosperine, a tiefling hexblade warlock who has a cat bird bat.
The cat bird bat.
Cat bird bat.
And last, and of course, certainly not least, Quinn.
I am Quinn, Quintastic_ on Twitter. I use she, her pronouns. Tonight I'm playing Primrose, who also uses she, her pronouns, and is a Circle of the Moon druid, Spring Eladrin. Woohoo.
And I guess that takes it back up to me. I'm Emma. I use she, her pronouns. You can find me at MK Hansen on the Twitter sphere. And tonight I am your story weaver. So I think without further ado, we are going to have Val give us a recap of what happened last week.
So last week on Beyond the Veil, Grim Femmes, our group all met up in a tavern, and we received an invitation to a party. Tate made us all clothes and showed us into his shop, and it was so wholesome. And then we made our way to the manor, where a lady whose head glowed was like, "Come in, stay. Here are some rooms. Go nuts," but in like a very much more ethereal, Emma descriptive way. And, went into first room, which was a garden. Second room, which was a bedroom, which had a box with a heart carved on it. And Lapis had a bit of a moment. We saw a bit more of her backstory of how she ended up the way she is. And then we moved on to a we moved on to a kitchen. We tried a soup. Somebody, Primrose, pressed a button. Oh no, it was C. Primrose and I were thinking about pressing the button, and then C was like, chaos. And then we ended up in a library where Tate got a coat made of threads of time from these beautiful beings, and saw himself him over across all universes, and they were all Tate, and it was a really beautiful moment that I still think about. It's been a week, I still think about it. And Vox went on her own journey of exploration, where we went into a painting with a ship, and she had an emotional conversation with a figure from her past, and joined the Leviathans, a crew of badass seafaring women led by the incomparable Captain Bones. And we watched as she sailed off on a new journey, and it was beautiful. Everything about the last session was beautiful, y'all.
Thanks. So I guess we will go ahead and find the music. Return to the Vale. So, you are still standing in this room, and you see now that Vox is no longer with you, and the room appears to be completely untouched. You can exit the way that you came. You also did notice that Vox actually didn't share that with you. I can't remember who saw it, but there was a button next to the painting that she looked at, but I can't remember what the roles were for that, actually.
With my passive, I might have seen it.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing.
Yeah. I'm
kind of guessing that Primrose can just walk into a room and find all the buttons and switches that are in this particular mansion. So what would you like to do?
I want to write a note on a piece of paper and just leave it like, is there a table in the room?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
And just say, welcome back, Vox. I bet if you go through this door, you'll find us again. And then draw a heart and write Tate. Put it on the table. In case she comes back.
Okay.
Primrose, wasn't there a greenery that we wanted to go back and see?
Oh, there was one, but we don't have to go back for it if that's inconveniencing anyone. That's okay.
I want to try something. I want to find a door in the room, wherever, the closest door.
Sure.
And I want to try to envision that green room again, the greenhouse.
Okay.
As I open the door.
And what does this look like when you do that?
What does the door look like, or what?
What does Irene look like as she does this?
She'll walk up to the door, and she'll hold the handle with her right hand. The left hand, she'll just put it on the door, and then just kind of look at it, and then close her eyes for a second, and then let out like a slow exhale as she pushes the door open.
Okay. Will you please roll me a D100?
75.
Okay. So you push the door open, and you see for a moment that it appears to almost look a bit shimmery. And then as you kind of like blink a couple of times, you see the greenhouse sort of appear before you. And again, it's filled with gardeners, and you see again that they all lack facial features, and instead they have that single eye that's sitting in their belly. And they all simultaneously again turn, look at you, give you a bow, and then return to their work.
I look back over and say, I don't think it's inconvenient anymore.
Oh, you didn't have to do that, Irene.
I didn't do anything. I just opened the door.
Well, thanks. I'll go through the door.
Okay, so in here you again see that there are all sorts of containers with different types of plants and herbs. You see that there are vines and trees growing. You see that there are different types of plants in here that shouldn't necessarily be growing in this same environment, and yet they are. You see that there's some orange trees and some apple trees. You see that there's snargle grass and some jester's grin, and there's all sorts of flowers and mosses that are growing in here. There's some vegetables even further into it. What do you all do?
There was moss in here.
Yes.
I would like to go visit the moss.
Sure. I would say maybe about on like the right hand side, not too far down one of the like aisles. There's not really aisles, but they look kind of like aisles in here. You see that there is a sort of, what are those things called that hold plants but they're big?
Planters?
Planters, that's right. We're doing really great, everyone. Planters. You see that there are some planters there that are kind of overgrown, and you see in there pretty common mosses that are growing that you would recognize. One is ash needle and one is moonwort.
I'm going to sit down cross-legged and I'm going to cast Speak with Plants.
Okay, sure. What does it look like when Lapis does this?
Lapis is going to stretch out one gloved finger and she's going to wave it, and you'll get a sort of shimmer of blue and gold that wraps around the plants and imbues them with temporary animation. And she kind of puts her hands on her chin and goes, "Hello, I am Lapis."
You're going to see this tiny little moss creature stretch their hands. They're going to kind of yawn. And you see these two little mossy eyes open up and look at you. Hello. I don't know that I have a name.
Would you like one?
Well, yes.
What do you think of the name Moon Moon?
I'm not sure what a moon is, but it sounds lovely.
It is something in the sky that glows at night. It is very pretty, and you are also very pretty.
You're pretty.
Why, thank you. That is very lovely of you.
And then you will go ahead.
No, you go.
No, you.
No, you.
No, you.
No, I insist after you. I like to think this happens with the moss. Like, no.
Yeah. I was just going to say that you see as this little moss creature starts talking that you see that the rest of the moss kind of starts to grow up and around them, and you see that it's all kind of like, they're not all animated, but you can see that they're all kind of like listening to you as you have this conversation.
Hello. It is a pleasure to meet you all. I am Lapis. I like your colors.
I like your colors.
That is very, very nice of you to say so. Do you like this garden? Is it kind to you?
Yes, this garden is... We feel warm here.
As long as you are safe and happy, then I am contented. I just wanted to check in since you're indoors, and sometimes houseplants are sad.
We're not always indoors.
You aren't?
Sometimes we're outside. Sometimes we're in rivers. Sometimes we're in places I'm not sure what you would call them. But we're not always in here.
That is most fascinating to hear. Perhaps I should stay in this house and also go to a river.
You can find her. There is a river here. I
There
don't know
is?
how to get to it though, but I know there's one here. I think there's two.
That is okay. At least 2 of us can turn into birds, so I'm sure we will eventually find it. Also, one of us has a bird cat. Also, one of us has wings. What a fortuitous group we are to wander into this place.
And you're going to see this moss kind of like extend. Thank you for the bits, Pactless. These little mossy vines and just kind of like hover over you for a second as if they're trying to like read you. Do you feel safe?
I am sorry. I do not understand the question.
You asked if we felt safe here. Do you feel safe?
I am sorry. I do not understand the question.
And you're going to see like other little heads pop up out of this moss. And they're all going to kind of like simultaneously cock their heads at you. Do you feel like you can walk freely?
No.
Do you need help?
I do not know of what to ask. I do not know what the question would be.
And you'll see them all kind of like look at each other for a second, and you'll hear this whispering that you can't quite make out. Perhaps your friends could help. And perhaps you won't need to ask. Maybe they'll just know. We know that. We can just tell when one of us needs help, and we help them.
That is very kind of you to say, but I am of a different kilt. I equate myself to like that of a plate. I am not always a necessity, but I do aid you when you need something. And then when you are done with me, you wash me and place me back in the cupboard until you buy a newer plate that serves you better, and then I am no longer needed, for I am scratched and broken. But that is okay, for I have served my purpose, and I shall move on. That is how I am.
We don't think you're a plate. We see much more than that inside of you, but we can't quite figure out how to explain that to you in a language that you would understand.
I am sorry. I do not understand the question.
And you'll see at this point, actually, that one of the attendees there comes over and sort of starts watering the plant and sort of like moving them around. And you see these little tendrils of moss kind of like wave at you almost. And you'll hear in your head, "Come back and visit us."
I shall. I imagine plants get lonely too sometimes.
And they sort of disappear back into each other.
I do hope they don't think I meant a literal plate. That would be most confusing. And Lapis is going to stand up and turn to her friends and wave. I met some moss.
Are they comfortable?
They say they feel comfortable and safe.
That's good.
I know. Do you like to talk to plants too?
All the time.
I think that is a wonderful quality to have. I think you have lots of wonderful qualities.
No, you.
They are like a spider web that link up and go on and on and on, and then you look a step back and you see so many little things building up to something that is very beautiful.
But not permanent.
Maybe not, but there is a certain beauty to temporary things. And also you know that once the spider's home is lost, it will rebuild another one, stronger than before.
Yes. They do always find a way to survive.
Exactly. They did say there was a river nearby, so if we wanted to go and see some water, for whatever reason we should want to, don't worry about it. There is a river here.
Rivers are delightful.
Primrose,
Yes.
while you are having this conversation,
Mm-hmm.
your eyes wander down and you see tucked away in the corner, kind of actually near Lapis, you see that there are maybe a handful of gloom flowers growing there.
I'll kind of rush over there and like past Lapis and just kind of get on my knees almost in the dirt with them and just kind of big breaths.
It's okay.
I didn't think I'd find these anywhere. Just kind of to myself, not really. It's fine.
So, as you kneel down and kind of touch, I'm assuming you're touching them and collecting them, and you can feel the dirt kind of like on your knees. Primrose, you suddenly feel dirt that actually feels familiar. And you can feel this gentle breeze against your skin, and suddenly you can smell like a warm afternoon, and you're in the woods, but you're in your woods. What do your woods look like?
And the trees are so tall, and sunlight gets through, but not a terrible amount, so it's a little dark, but not quite. And the wind makes the branches kind of bounce, and there are different shadows everywhere. It's very shadowy, kind of dewy. And I think it's a similar collection of flowers, sort of, that I've found once or twice before. And I'm glad there aren't people with me.
Okay. And as you are sort of like in the dirt here, you realize that you're doing something that you do often, that you are somehow within like one of your own memories. You've been here before. You've been in this exact moment before, in this same place on the dirt. And what is it that you're doing here?
Just dropping dice. something died here recently. Things die here a lot, I find. And when I find them, I help them grow into flowers, into something prettier, because people don't like to look at death, or so I have been told. So I'm collecting those flowers and just feeling them, and my fingers are trembling a little bit because those flowers always mean relief, but the relief isn't always a good thing.
And just as you do in your memory of this moment, just as you did in this exact moment, you take a deep breath in and you look up just to watch the golden strands of light that are streaking through the canopy where you are. And you see something that you hadn't noticed before. And it's blurry. You can't even tell what it is exactly. But what is it that it looks like?
I think you'd have to be looking very closely for it, which is why it's so interesting that I can see it now. Because it seems to flit kind of from shadow to shadow, almost in like a shimmering greens and whites. And I think before I would even see it, I would hear this beautiful laugh. This carefree sort of laugh. That sounds very foreign to me. And the more I try to focus on it, the less I understand what it means, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So as you sort of sit there trying to figure out what it is that you're hearing and what it is that you're looking at, it suddenly flies towards you and you shield yourself just for whatever might be incoming. You're kind of shocked. And when you open your eyes, you are back in the manor. And for the rest of you, none of you know time has passed. You have seen nothing different or unusual or strange happen. But Primrose, you can feel something in your hands that is not flowers.
Okay. I'll look down at it.
Okay. In your hand, you see that you are holding a necklace. And on this necklace, there is a small vial. And with your high perception, you would very quickly be able to see that it's filled with these seeds. And as you try to identify what these seeds are, you see that within each seed, there is a piece of yourself. There is a memory, a lock of hair, a thought. And you have received the seeds of tenderness. And mechanically speaking, if you press this vial to your chest and you say the words, "I too can bloom," this will cause vines and flowers to sprout and grow around you, encasing you in the gentle energies of yourself. And it'll add a +3 bonus to your AC. It'll heal you for 40/12 hit points, and it'll give you 10 temporary hit points. And you can use it once per long rest.
Oh, wow. So I just kind of look that over in my hands. and slide it into my bag.
Okay.
Because it seems like it belongs to someone else, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know who.
Okay.
I think Irene would have come over at this point to see these flowers, these plants, and kind of crouch down next to you and say, "Those are pretty."
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Do they have a name? I don't know a whole lot about flowers.
I don't know if they have a real name.
Well, then, what do you call them?
Gloom flowers. And I'm not really looking at you or at anyone. I just kind of have my hands like in the dirt.
It's kind of a sad name.
They come from a sad place.
Do you want to see some of my favorite flowers?
Sure.
I want to look around for a lilac bush.
Sure. You can roll for it if you want, or you can wander if you want.
I'll just wander.
Sure. So the two of you kind of start wandering through here, and Primrose, perhaps you sort of are pointing out flowers here and there as you go. Maybe not. And you see all sorts of these different plants that are growing, and suddenly, Irene, you see kind of in the back corner, you see that that's where there appears to be all of these flowers. You see some are wildflowers, and some are roses, and that's where you see your lilac bush.
Irene grins and will reach down to take Primrose's hand if she will let her.
She does.
And she'll gently lead you over to the lilac bushes. And these ones, I assume, are much taller than the ones that were back home. The ones back home were fairly large. They were 6.5 feet tall. These ones, I'm sure, have had a lot more time to grow. And she'll pull you up to the front of the bush, and she'll give your hand a little squeeze, and then let it go, and then go up to the bush and essentially just put her whole body like onto it and just take a deep breath. And when she pulls back, she's got just leaves and little lilac petals just all over her. And she'll have like a contented look on her face, and she'll say, "We had a lot of these at home. A couple of different colors too. And my mom would always bring some inside, and every spring it would always smell like lilacs, and kind of, it reminds me of home, of the simple things, you know?"
Is home nice?
Home is nice. It's nice enough. It's a little... It's not quite my home, but it's home. I look up at the lilac bush, and if there's a keeper nearby, I kind of look towards them for any sort of like, can I take some? Even though we were told that we could take some.
You see that there is one that's kind of nearby that's like tending to some sunflowers that are growing there. And they kind of see you like point at the flowers, and you will hear in your head, you may take them, but they will remain here when you leave the manor.
Okay. She'll just...
And you see, the moment that like you kind of like are looking around, like as you turn your head, when you turn back, you see that there's one of them, like the same one is already immediately in front of you holding like a bushel of lilac flowers for you.
Thank you. I'll hold on to it. Just put it near my face. And I'll hold it up to Kai and have her sniff it. She probably doesn't like it. And I'll just hold on to it while we're in the garden.
Tate, what are you doing during this? You're muted.
I'm sure my web captioner will get that cuss word. I would like to find a flower or an herb that I've never seen before.
Okay. Roll me a D6, please.
1.
You find something that you have never seen before. That looks kind of like this. It looks almost like wheat, but you see that it has these tiny little buds on it that are like this light blue, with sort of these little streaks of like hot pink.
I'm going to sit cross-legged on the ground, maybe like 2 feet away from it, and go into the little holster on my thigh and pull out a leather-bound book that is just overflowing, like the pages barely fit in the binding anymore, and kind of flip through it, and it is my spell book. And every page that has a spell on it is absolutely covered in doodles and sketches of birds and flowers and notes, and you can barely read the spells on the pages anymore. I'm going to flip to one that has a little free space, and I said we can't take the flowers with us, so I'm not going to try to take one and press it into the pages. I'm just going to sit and try to draw it into my spell book.
Okay. So while the rest of you are sort of like wandering around this greenhouse, Tate sort of sits down and he starts drawing what he sees in front of him. And Tate, as you do that, you realize that actually the flower is kind of like growing in this same planter. I was going to call it a trough. The same planter. One of them you kind of recognize because they are common. It's something called Jester's Grin, and these are these kind of delicate black and pink flowers. But you also see something else that looks kind of like the roots or the base of the flower looks like they are all intertwined. Like it grows in like clumps of these intertwined, like viney stems. And then on the top, it's these small, delicate, tiny white blossoms that actually look kind of like bells.
I'm going to put my hands in the grass and like scoop myself forward on my bottom up to the flower and like try to find down at the bottom one line of the flower stem and sort of like trace it like a maze up through the tangle and see if I can reach the bell on the top.
If you would thank you for following Lord Arctic. If you would like to roll for this, you can.
Okay.
If you want to, just to see if you make it to the end.
Sure. What do I roll?
I want you to roll just you can either roll a dexterity check to see if you can do that, or an intelligence check to see if you can figure out where these intertwine.
Let's do intelligence,
Go
because
for
I'm
it.
a wizard. Just plain intelligence. That's a 18.
Okay, so you manage to you're kind of finding your way through here, and you loop around this, and then you loop across this and underneath this, and you almost think you're about to lose it, and then you find it again, and you make your way all the way up to the top.
Just gonna bing, because it's bell.
And you'll hear it ring.
That's so cool. I'm gonna draw that one too.
Okay.
I'll scoot back to my drawing spot and I'll start drawing that one as well.
So, what would you like to do now? You're in this greenhouse. There is the door that you came in from. There is also an exit on the other side.
Are there any more plants that you want to see?
Were those the only gloom flowers, out of curiosity?
Yes.
Okay. How odd.
You can look. Do you want to look?
No. I'll kind of look at Irene and say, what is it like having a family?
I've never been asked that question before. It's a bit like having well, in the strictest terms, it's having someone or having people who are there to take care of you and feed you and make sure that you have a place to grow up. And they are usually people that you can turn to in times of hardship, or if you need someone to talk to. They can also help you grow into a stronger person. They can be very loving, but sometimes they aren't that way. There's not really one answer for what a family is. Sometimes you just get to choose what it means.
I wonder if I had one.
Well, that's an interesting thing about families, is that you can kind of make your own. A lot of people sometimes say that families are ones that birthed you or raised you or have some sort of claim to you, but really a family is just people in your life that you can always rely on and that you know will love you for anything.
Anything.
Yeah. And they might not be perfect because people aren't perfect. But you know that they're there.
I see.
Should we go through this door? And she'll point to this like stained glass, kind of pale yellow and blue and orange door that doesn't have a handle, but giving it like a gentle push, it just kind of swings open.
Sure. And I'll turn back around and see where Lapis and Tate are.
Done.
I think we're going this way, if that's okay. Unless you want to stay here longer. I don't think there'd be a problem with that either.
We can go on. Yeah. That door right there. And I'll point to the one that Irene pointed at.
Lapis?
I have a DM question because the spell technically doesn't do this, but I'm wondering if I can kind of do it.
Oh, gee, I wonder what my answer will be.
So during this time, Lapis is kind of like sat down next to Tate and is kind of just watching him draw things in the kind of like giant-eyed, leaning to like almost over the paper way. And when Tate moves, she's going to look at the bell plant. The spell polymorph doesn't transform things. If there is a way that Lapis can pull out, like tear off a piece of her cloth and just to herself hold it and try and just change its shape, temporarily illusions to that bell plant. Is there a way I can do that?
Yes. What does it look like when Lapis does this?
So she's going to kind of shuffle, gonna go off and look at something, and then she's just gonna tear off a little piece of her cloak and kind of twist it and put it in the right shape and twist another piece off and twist it in the way that she saw the bells were going. And then she's gonna close her eyes really hard and hold it, and just this dark blue and gold magic is gonna spread over it and just bring this, it's an illusion, but like just bring this illusion of the bells flowers. And just so she knows that she can do it. So even though they can't take the flowers with them, she can make the flower again. And she just looks at it and goes, okay. And tucks it in her pocket. All right. Shall we go on an adventure?
Through the door.
Through the door. Huzzah.
And so you make your way through this next door, and you find yourselves in a sitting room, and you see that it's filled with paintings and portraits of all kinds. You see some bookcases filled with a range. Some books look quite new, some books look quite ancient. And you see that there's a tidy desk with like a quill and like some ink and some parchment there, a little bit of sand. You also see that there is a fireplace in here that's just got like a low fire going. As you enter the room, two things happen. Primrose, you see that same shimmering, that kind of what you saw in your memory, what wasn't there before, you see it across the room, just for the briefest of moments before it dissipates. And Irene, you see that there is a mirror hanging almost directly across from the door, from the entrance. And when you look at your reflection in the mirror, you can only see part of it because it's not quite directly across. You see this sort of shadow inside of it that seems familiar.
I would like to go to the mirror.
Okay?
Do I see myself in it?
Yep, you see
Okay.
yourself. It reflects like normally. It's just that you caught the glimpse of something almost inside the mirror. And like when you look behind you, there's nothing there. But you see this sort of like shadow kind of inside the mirror.
Okay. When I see myself in the mirror, I'm going to, as I approach it, cast Disguise Self and turn myself into the appearance of the person that I see myself as.
Okay.
Which is very similar. A little more slender, a little more graceful. And I'll kind of smile sadly and then kind of look in the mirror to see if I can see that smoke anywhere.
As you sort of search for this smoke, you see a sort of shadowy hand kind of reach out for you.
I will reach for it.
This hand kind of like pulls you into the mirror, and you are in a new place. And for the rest of you, you merely see Irene having this moment in the mirror. And Irene, you are in a place that you know quite well, and you see that your disguise, as you sort of look down, it's not you are yourself, your disguise has dropped. And you are in the Hallswine? You're in the Hallswine library. And it is warm, and it smells of books, and you hear the gentle sounds of feet on wooden floors. and the whispers of people researching, of book pages flipping, and you see it's filled with people. Some you know, some you don't. What is it that you do?
I would probably do what I do almost every day when I'm working there at my parents' library. And I will quietly go around and see if anyone needs any help finding anything, or if there's any books that need to be put away or refiled or anything like that.
Okay. As you sort of start to make your way around, you realize that this is like your parents' library, but it is different this time. It appears to be more looming. It appears to be a bit more maze-like. And as you move through, you see that as you approach people, they stop and look up from what they're doing, and they stare for a moment, and their eyes are locked with yours. And you hear in your head whispering, and it grows louder. And then you begin to make out that they are cursing you, they are taunting you, they are laughing at you, and they're just whispers and echoes of them, but you don't see their mouths moving. And so you move away from one group and try to get to another, and you see that these people are reaching out for you, and they're trying to take something from you. And your heartbeat quickens, and you hear a familiar voice in your head that's louder than everybody else that says, "You are safe. You are okay. But you must find yourself." What is it that you do?
I think out of instinct, she would have pulled her sword, which is this dark blue steel, with just this single silver vein that kind of goes through from the hilt through almost to the tip. And she wouldn't attack people in the library. That's not really who she is. But I think she would turn from these people and she would just start to run into the library, trying to find some way out.
And as you run, you're turning corners, you're trying to find a way out of this maze, and you hear these people and you see them reaching for you, and you round a corner and you find yourself in a place that you used to spend quite a bit of time. And you see in front of you these wisps of shadows floating and moving through the air where you would normally sit.
Seeing it, she'll kind of slow down a little bit from this full run, and is it just wisps around like just normal, or is it just like a blackness in that space?
It's kind of like a blackness in that space.
Okay.
That doesn't feel menacing.
Right. She would reach out towards it.
Okay. As you do, things kind of slow down for a moment, and you are met with a blinding light that is fierce and bright, and it reminds you of a moment from long ago, but this time it feels just a little bit different. And you can feel that there are tears coming out of your eyes, and you're a little bit panicked still. And then you hear voices in your head that also begin to drown out. They're louder than all the other whispers you've been hearing. And it's your voice. And it's Tate's voice. And you hear Primrose and Lapis and Billion. And all of them say together, "Open your eyes. See what you have created."
She does.
You see before you a raven that is gently flapping its wings in the air, and it flies over and lands on your shoulder that is not occupied. And you see it's made of shadows. There's little wisps floating off of it here and there. And you have crafted a raven from the shadows of your soul. And I want to be clear here that shadows in this world don't necessarily mean bad. And what you have created is something called the Shadow Raven Song. You can store up to 3 messages or 3 spells once per day, and you have all the benefits of a Raven familiar. The messages can be sent up to 6 people on any plane of existence, as long as you have a clear picture of who they are in your mind. And spells that are stored in this may be cast as normal without expending a spell slot. As you send these spells, the raven will decrease in size as the shadows disperse out into the world to do your bidding. And once all 3 messages or spells have dispersed, the raven will dissolve. You may also choose to disperse the raven all at once, which will connect you and up to 6 people in the threads of your shadows that will share both damage and or healing from the next 3 spells targeted at one of you. You can call the raven back by singing from the depths of who you are. Any song will do, as long as it reflects the state of your soul in that moment. Do we want to take a quick break? Okay. All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break, do some breathing, a little bit of self-care. I hope you all do the same, and we will be right back to see where the rest of this journey takes us. we are back. We took a moment to do some checking in with one another, a little bit of self-care after that. So for those of you who are just joining us, this is the Grimm Femmes project, and this is our first campaign Beyond the Veil, and this is part 2 of the invitation. They are currently in a manor that is inside the veil, which is the place between worlds. And they are exploring this manor for up until sunrise. However, what they are finding is that they are exploring their internal selves a bit more probably than they thought. And they are currently in a sitting room. And for the rest of you, as this occurred, what you all saw was Irene standing there. And you saw her sort of entranced. She was just standing there looking at herself. And no time has passed for the rest of you. And out of nowhere, you see this raven fly out of the mirror and land on their shoulder. And Irene, you are now standing back in the sitting room.
You've got a new friend.
Thank you, Matthew
no.
Norman. It's okay. I just pointed at my 2 new friends and said I have 2 pets now.
Does that mirror make birds?
I don't think so. I think this one's a little special. Just kind of pet the front of it.
Does it have a name?
I don't think so. Maybe
Well, what do you?
maybe I'll give it one someday.
It is shadowy, and I like that. Do you think I could pet it at some point?
I'll kind of pick it up on my fingers and kind of give it a little start to fly over to where Lapis is.
You're in charge of it. It's you.
Yeah, it'll fly over and just kind of spin around, and it'll land on your head, much like the owl did.
If Lapis could express contentment, this is what contentment would look like for Lapis. What a state of being this is. I like this manner. It makes birds.
Do we want more birds?
Can there be more birds?
I'll go into my bag and pull out a little statue. It's a little silver bird statue. And I'll just kind of whisper to it in, I don't think anyone speaks Sylvan, but I'll whisper to it in Sylvan. Time to fly, little one. And
I do.
oh, well, you hear me say that. And it animates into a shimmery, swirling silver raven that flies to you, Tate.
I'm not muted anymore. Oh, I like it a lot. Hello.
You can keep her if she makes you happy.
Hold on. Put the bird on my shoulder and reach into another pouch and pull out another piece of paper and scribble something on it really quick, and then make a little paper bird, and it comes to life, and it flies over and twirls around your head and then lands in your hand. It's a bird for you.
You didn't have to do that.
I've got a couple of them. You didn't have to do that.
Sure, I did.
It says thank you if you don't want to unfold it. But you
Oh,
could,
is it a? Oh,
but you can unfold it too if you want. That's fine. It's just paper.
it's not just paper. I'm not gonna unfold it.
And
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to turn to her and say, I cannot make a bird. I do, however, have a lot of shiny coins and some moss. One moment. And Lapis is going to pull out some of the moss and just craft together a little bird, a moss bird. And is going to walk over and is like, it cannot fly, but it is a bird. Sort of.
I'll take it. Thank you.
You are
And
most welcome.
they'll stay with you so long as you want them to. Then it'll just move from your head down to your shoulder. And I'll stick the moss bird in with the other small trinkets that Lapis has given me.
I am in a... I don't know how to describe it. I am...
Are you happy? Do you feel as if your insides are all full of butterflies and sunshine?
Yes, does that mean I am going to become a butterfly? Have I eaten butterflies?
Do you remember back in Tate's shop when I asked you to pick a color that made you feel something? This is the feeling of happiness. Some people also call it joy. And it's a nice feeling.
I am sorry. I do not know what that means.
Just remember the feeling of butterflies.
I shall remember butterflies. Thank you, Irene.
So, you're standing here in this sitting room, and I would like you all to roll a perception check. Primrose, you can choose to roll if you want, but you'll probably see this.
My passive is 20. Do I see it?
Yes, yep, you sure do. You 8, is that an 8? I did it. Okay, so Primrose and Lapis, you see on one of the bookshelves in here, you see that there is a small switch right next to it. It's like almost like a light switch, but not quite.
I will look at Primrose. And then I should look at the whip.
I will do. I was gonna do the same thing.
Just Lapis
Wait,
and the druid squad just kind of slowly turn to look at each other.
Do you think we should flip it?
Well, if we think about the purposes of things, the purpose of a switch is to be flipped. So there is no other conclusion that we can draw other than we are obligated to flip the switch.
Okay.
You just hear Lapis go, yes.
Amazing.
Why don't you do it?
Oh, I could not. It is you saw it first. Please, I
No,
insist.
I insist that you go first.
I have a better idea. Why don't we flip it together?
Okay.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
3.
The shelving actually swings open, and you both kind of like look down there, and you see that there's a passageway that appears dark, and it leads down in the form of like a spiral staircase. It's stone, and there's a layer of dust. Like, this place has not been traversed in quite some time. And I would like anybody, the rest of you see this open because you hear it sort of grinding open. But I would like anybody who's kind of like looking into it to roll perception checks.
I got a 15.
Okay.
I'm putting that dice away.
Yeah, dice jail. Dice jail.
To deal with it. 27.
Okay.
24.
All right. So Irene, Primrose, and Lapis, you all notice that it smells of moss and the air is damp. You also smell like water. Like, you all are familiar with that smell of water, and you can smell it kind of wafting. And then all of you feel like a tug on the back of your head, somewhere from a place that you haven't connected with in a long time. Some place familiar, yet forgotten.
I smell moss.
And water.
Do you wish to follow the path with me?
Absolutely.
Very good. And I'm going to turn around to Irene and Tate and go, we have found a passageway. It smells of water and moss, and is also dusty. We are going to go down it. Would you like to come with us?
I'm going to reach a hand into my component pouch, and when I pull my hand back out, my fingers have this like little almost highlighter like yellowish substance on them, and 4 little balls of light, 2 pink and 2 blue appear. I'm going to start to send them down.
Rest of you follow down these steps. Was that a yes? I didn't see. Did you all nod?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I was reading something. Sorry.
I was like preparing. All right. So you decide to go into the passageway. You make your way down the steps for what feels like several minutes. Deeper into the depths of this mansion you go. And you emerge in a cavernous area. You see a long, flat bridge that stretches out across over a massive glassy lake. And you can all see just fine now, as the cavern itself appears to be white and is radiating this soft glow all around and reflecting off of these dark, still waters. However, it is then that you notice that this room appears to exist in a grayscale. There is no color here.
That's odd.
Irene will kind of rub her eyes. Where did all the color go?
PM, if Lapis very carefully, so that no one else sees, pulls back her glove, is she grayscale?
Yes. And as you look at your companions, as you all look at one another, you are all in this grayscale.
This room makes me sad. I'm going to walk over towards the lake.
Okay?
I'll follow.
Do I have a reflection in the water?
Roll me a perception check.
Uh-oh.
I'd be doing the same thing.
Sure. If it's an 8, I'm going to flip my table.
It's a 7.
Oh, no!
Oh.
Worse.
Primrose?
28.
Okay, well...
Oh, no, it's a 10. That's a 9, not a 6.
Hey, that's better. Okay. So, what both of you see as you look over into these waters, there is no reflection here at all, and instead what you see it's an abyss. There is a endless abyss beneath you, beneath these waters. It is completely calm, glassy, but it is an abyss.
Should we go?
Like this room.
Maybe we should go just over the bridge.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going across the bridge?
Yes.
Okay. As you make your way across, you all begin to notice out further ahead of you, there are dark figures. There are 4 of them. They're too far away to make out for now, but there are 4 distinct figures out in front of you.
Nothing in this house has hurt us so far.
No.
So I suppose we should keep going forward.
Maybe it's just somewhere we don't understand yet. Maybe it's not for us.
Like this room.
Don't like this room at all.
I like this room.
Well, then, Lapis, will you hold my hand?
Lapis is going to take off her glove. Yeah. Finally, perfect.
What do you mean, Lapis?
You can't see anymore.
Can't see what?
The ugly. She's going to put her glove back on. I'm going to hold Tate's hand.
So you continue making your way down this bridge, which is wide enough that all four of you could stand on it across. And you see that these figures are walking toward you. And you see now, as you sort of approach, that they are keeping pace with you as you walk toward them.
Are two of them holding hands?
Yes.
If I'm going to, it's too wide, but I'm going to take a couple steps forward so that I'm first.
Sure. And you see that there is one directly across from you that takes a couple steps forward.
Lapis is going to wave.
And you will see that one waves back, although it is inverted, so it's not a direct mirror, so that when you wave with your left hand, they will also wave with their left hand, so it appears like it's their right. Are you still walking?
I'm gonna take out my sword and just have it.
Sure. You see that the figure who's across from you also takes out their sword. And as you are walking toward one another, you begin to make them out a little bit more clearly, and they seem to be wrapped in corrupted shadow. So, as shadows in this universe do not necessarily mean bad, these appear to be shadows that are somehow corrupt. These are not merely shadows. And you find that as you are walking, they are just walking toward you.
Hello.
You do not hear a response, but you see them open their mouth as if they are responding.
I will walk right up to mine.
All right, what does yours look like?
It's wrapped in corrupted shadow, you said?
Yeah.
It looks like me. But everywhere shadow moves across the surface, it's like looking through a dark glass. And the parts of me covered in shadow in that second are different. So it's like there's two people there. And the parts in shadow, the hair is long. And the clothes are fine. And the face is pale and perfectly made up, and this sort of beautiful, noble woman is in that dark shadow. part of the body.
I'll go up to mine.
Okay, and they walk right up to you as well. What does yours look like?
The shape's the same. But sort of like with the shimmering form, this one has substance, of course, but it's all of the me's that I've ever been for someone. And I recognize them, but only distantly. And I don't care for them.
I am still holding Tate's hand. When Tate approaches, I approach.
Okay. And when you approach yours, what does it look like?
She looks like she's made from shards of broken glass and is very scary, apparently.
I don't like this. Hold on. We're going to do this. Okay, go on.
She looks like she's made from shards of broken glass. Somehow stitched together and restitched and taped over to try and make it whole, but there are pieces of her missing, especially in her chest. But there are pieces everywhere of her missing that have just shattered and have broken too many times to be able to be put back properly. And in each cracked piece of glass, there is a different emotion: strong anger, sadness, the things that people don't like to see hidden behind the pane of glass.
I'll slowly approach mine as well.
And what does yours look like?
I think it's just... It is a wooden mannequin that, if you stare at it, you can see these very fine threads at its joints that are holding it up. And there are on its chest a list of words that are descriptors, like respectful and proper and virtuous and perfect. And the expression, much like a painted puppet, is perfect, set in a pleasant and non-offensive smile. The eyes just kind of glazed over.
And as you all stand here, sort of facing, literally, these sort of shadowy corruptions, what is it that you do? You can see behind them that this bridge continues to stretch out. There is another door on the other side. But for now, you are all on this bridge, facing one another.
Do they seem solid enough where if we just tried to walk past them, it wouldn't work?
They all seem so different that it's hard to tell, but you can try.
I want to step forward.
Okay.
And I want to take the sword in my hand, and very quickly I want to cut all of these threads that are above it. And as the mannequin falls, I want to grab it and embrace it.
Okay. So as you wield your sword, you see that it is mirroring your actions in a sort of inverted kind of way. And as you swing up to cut these threads, it does the same. And you feel something release from you at the very moment that these threads are cut. And as you move to embrace this shadow, they do the same. And you both crumple into one another, holding each other.
And I will say to it, I am always here.
And the rest of you see this happen.
Who's standing next to me?
I believe it's Primrose.
I want to look up towards her and reach a hand out for her, just to hold on to one of her hands.
I'll give it.
And you see these two shadows do the same.
Are you all right?
I think so. Yeah, I think I'm okay.
And you'll see me. I have a necklace, a little simple beaded necklace, and I just kind of reach up and like touch one of the beads, and I cast Bless on you. And then I'll turn to my shadow. Give Irene's hand a squeeze and let go.
And you see that these shadows also let go.
I'm just gonna try to push mine away.
Okay. As you reach out to push, their hands meet yours. And you both push one another with equal force. And you remain.
And I'll try it again.
And you again, if you want to try to roll a strength check
Yeah,
to see, go ahead.
that'll go well. It's not my strength, huh? That is a 2.
Okay. You both push against one another again, and you can see that they're meeting your force exactly. As soon as you sort of reel back, you feel them reel back, and as soon as you push forward, you feel them push forward.
That's very frustrating, so I'm just gonna cast Moonbeam on it.
Okay.
And it's a very, there's not a lot of pomp and circumstance to when Primrose does offensive things. Offensive, not offensive, but because it doesn't happen a lot. You might probably have never seen it. Magic wise anyway, normally she would just turn into a wolf and bite the thing. But it's just a really emotional, reactionary, like, string of hand gestures. And then this pure white moonlight, brighter than anything else in the room, would just slam down onto it.
Okay. And as you do that, they match your hand movements. However, theirs are inverted. And as you cast Moonbeam, you feel cast down onto you sunlight. And what you find is that neither are doing any damage. And you instead both stand there in this standoff, now bathed in these two lights. And you can see their face echoing yours in this frustration.
From the ground, I'm going to say to Primrose, why are you trying to fight it?
Because I don't want to look at it anymore.
I'm going to stand up.
As you stand up, you see that your shadow stands up.
And I want to walk in front of Primrose and want to looking at her, so I'm between her and her shadow.
As you do this, and you step forward and take a right, you see that your shadow steps forward and takes a right. However, it kind of is trying to get past the wall of this bridge. Excuse you. Yes, ma'am.
You don't have to look at it. And I want to reach down and I'm going to reach for your hands, for both of them. And then I'm going to turn my back to you and shift which hand is holding which so that your hands are still in mine, but I'm standing in front of you. And I want to try to walk forward.
Okay. As you do this, you see that your shadow is also trying to... I'm sorry, I think she needs to... Oh, she just wanted to say hello. You see that your shadow's hands are reaching behind them, searching for the hands that you just grabbed. And they turn around and you see them searching for the hands, but there are no hands to grab where it is currently. And so as you step forward, you are met with Primrose's shadow, who stands there with their hands out.
Can I reach forward for the shadow's hand, letting go of one of Primrose's?
Okay.
And I want to look to Primrose. Sometimes it's okay to look at something you don't like. It's okay not to like things that you see. But sometimes you still have to look at it. And I'm going to hold both of their hands, and I'm going to hold them close to each other. I won't force Primrose to do anything, but I'm just going to put them very close to each other. And then I'm just going to open up both of my hands and just take a little step back.
Which direction do you step back towards? Do you step toward Lapis and Tate, or do you step toward the bridge, the edge of the bridge?
I'll step towards Lapis and Tate.
As you do that, you see your shadow continuing to try to move in the opposite direction of you. As you step back, it is trying to also step back, but it is being met with the wall of this bridge.
I make mental note of that. But I'm just watching Primrose and kind of looking over my shoulder to see what else is happening.
So we'll come back to Primrose. Tate and Lapis, what are you doing?
I let go of Lapis's hand. And I look over at Lapis. Sorry. And I cast Blink. And I jump to the other side without even looking at it.
Okay. can you tell me how blink works?
Yeah, yeah.
And what this looks like?
Yeah, I can. Blink. What is blink? Blink's a spell. Fuck, where are my spells? So I just close my eyes for a second, and in a blink, I'm not there anymore, and I disappear onto the ethereal plane. And I'm
Okay.
able to move 10 feet.
When you cast that and you are gone onto the ethereal plane, do you take a moment there, or do you immediately reappear 10 feet in front of you?
So it would be the next round, so theoretically it would be a few seconds or so, yeah.
Okay.
A little bit.
And what does it look like for you when you're there?
It's gray, and it's shadows. It's like standing outside in the dark when there's a snowstorm, and the snow is so heavy in the sky above you that there is no noise. Everything is sort of muted, and the wind kind of blows, and these whole puffs of dirt just sort of move like waves across the ground.
Okay. And you move, and you reappear 10 feet in front of you. And you're currently facing away. And what the rest of you see is that Tate disappears. And as soon as Tate disappears, his shadow disappears. And you see him reappear 10 feet in front of where he was standing. And you see further down the line that his shadow appears 10 feet where it was standing. And so they are now 20 feet away from one another.
I'm not looking back.
Okay.
I'm not looking back. I just go. I leave all of them behind and I go.
And as you go, your shadow takes off in the opposite direction. And you are just running away from one another.
Lapis is going to keep eye contact with her shadow. And she is going to take a half circle step to the right, and then another, and then another, until she and her shadow are on opposite sides. And then she is going to turn and take one step in the other direction.
And so the two of you do this almost like a dance. They are meeting your movements exactly as you rotate yourselves around one another. And you see that Tate has taken off. You see Irene surveying the situation, and you see Primrose standing there in front of her shadow.
I'm going to wait.
Primrose, what do you do? You have seen now all of this transpire, that Tate they blinked away from one another and took off running in opposite directions. You see that Lapis did a sort of dance with hers, and they separated themselves. And you still see Irene's shadow trying to finish the movement that they started, hitting up against the side of this. bridge.
I just don't want to look at it. And I'll just kind of try to sidestep it suddenly.
As you sidestep, you are stepping away from one another. And do you like do the same thing that Lapis did and walk around each other?
Yeah.
Okay. And as you do that, are you like turning your head away from it?
Yeah.
And so what the rest of you, well, what Lapis and Irene see is these two with their head turned away from one another, walking around each other until they are now on opposite sides of the bridge.
I'm gonna hold out my hand towards Primrose.
I don't take it. I'll just keep going.
I'll turn and look at Lapis. And we'll start walking towards where everyone else is going.
And you see as you walk forward, all at sort of different paces, you see behind you that your shadows are doing exactly the same. And you make your way across the bridge, and you see that there is a single door. It's wooden, simple. There's a single door on the other side.
When they catch up, I want to hold my hand out towards Lapis again.
Lapis takes it immediately.
Sorry.
You do not need to be sorry. Not to me, Tate.
I'm sorry.
I think you are very shiny.
I turn the door handle and I open the door.
Door swings open. And inside you, it's kind of dark and you're not quite sure what's on the other side. It appears to be some kind of library.
I don't go through the door.
I'll take a step forward and I'll say, I'll go first. And as I pass Tate, I'll just gently lay a hand on his shoulder and give him a small smile, and then I'll enter.
I'll go in
Irene.
after Irene.
You know this place very well. It's the Hallswine Hallswine? I'm gonna get it right. Library. But it's different. It is draped in cobwebs. There are things that have been burned and charred. And it's quite dark. But there are piles of embers here and there, providing a little bit of dim light. And this brings you back to a memory being in this space, but it feels tainted and it feels heavy and it feels almost wrong and yet familiar. What is this memory?
There was a place that I would hide here, and I hid here once. My parents had a very important person over for dinner, and I was trying to make them laugh, and I was trying to be myself, and was told afterwards that it was very disrespectful and how disappointed they were in me. And so I ran to my hiding space. And they didn't come to find me. I left eventually. And they said that they were sorry later, but that I should try to do better in the future, so it didn't feel real. And I think I step into this space and I go to try to find that hiding place.
Okay. And so the rest of you see Irene begin to walk through this space. Do the rest of you follow?
If I go in and Lapis doesn't move. You like this room? I think you would be very lonely if you stayed in here, though.
I am always lonely, Tate. In here, I would not have to hide.
You don't have to hide anywhere, Lapis. No. I mean, I don't want you to have to hide. And you don't have to hide from me.
I would like to ask something that I am not supposed to ask.
Okay.
I would like you to promise something to me that I know you cannot keep.
Well, that sounds like a challenge, Lapis, so try me.
When you leave, please say goodbye.
When I leave where?
When you leave, please say goodbye.
I want to tell you that I won't leave. As I don't want to leave you, Lapis. But I literally just let go of your hand and left you behind, so I doubt you would trust me if I said something like that, so. I don't want to leave. Can I promise you instead that I will try not to?
I will be with you, Tate, until you tire of me. Please allow me to stay that long.
Okay. I squeeze Lapis's hand and take a step back into the library.
I will wait until he is in the library door. I will turn around. And from Tate's perspective, he will see Lapis, still with her hood up, pull off her mask and hold it in her hands, just for a few moments, and then she will place it back on. And then she will turn, and she will walk towards the library. And she will say, "Thank you, Tate, for making that promise."
And so you all see Irene head off in a direction. And Irene, where are you headed?
There is a staircase towards the back of the library, and most of the staircase, there's a small shelf of books that has been placed there to keep people from going and being underneath the staircase, but I've moved that bookshelf, and it looked like a picturesque fort from a childhood memory. There are small lanterns with little candles hanging in this space. There is a long or large piece of fabric that's hanging kind of to give it a curtain, or not a curtain, a ceiling. There are pillows strewn on the ground, some of which that appear a bit too fancy to be floor pillows. There are some stuffed animals, and there are books, just small piles of different sized books. A couple of them look more like diaries than actual library books, but all of them look well worn, well read. And there are a handful of music boxes that are also scattered around it.
And so as she kind of leads you through this library, you can hear the echoes of this memory from her that she is experiencing as she walks through here. These sort of soft whispers and these kind of echoing voices through there. And as you make it over to your sort of hiding place, Irene, you see that it's there, but you see that it has been burned by this, whatever has ransacked this place, whatever has gone through here. It's charred in places. You see some of the lanterns have fallen, and you see the books are burned, and you see that where there would normally be all of those floor pillows, you see that there is a trapdoor that is swung open.
Not looking back to anyone, Irene will say, "This isn't right." And we'll go to the trapdoor and go down into it.
Okay. And the rest of you hear her say that, and she plunges into the darkness of this trapdoor.
I follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You all enter into this new space. And I think that's where we'll end tonight. So, thank you to everybody who has joined us this evening. What we're going to start doing is ending right around now, this 8:30 Eastern time. We're scheduled for till 9, but we thought that what we would do, one of our safety tools is that we unpack together. We thought we would do some of that unpacking live here during the last, 20 to 30 minutes of the show. And we also can definitely like take any questions that people sort of like have been thinking about in chat. Feel free to ask us some questions about what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we're doing it. But otherwise, this space is we're going to kind of hold it to unpack what happened, how it felt, where it's going, anything that you've sort of got kicking around in your heads.
Whew.
Bork.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The first thing I'm gonna do is just quickly take off this mask because it's just hot as hell in here.
Go for it.
And I
go for
can't do it after next week because I'll reveal secrets otherwise.
it. Ooh.
Ooh. I'm gonna also take off the wig.
Go for it.
Oh,
Decompressing and derobing slightly.
Here, let's have
Some
Nice
less
tavern
void-like
music.
music.
nice tavern
Some
music while
happy
we
music.
decompress.
oh.
We question, what is lapis?
Lapis is a Kalishtar, but flavored slightly for this game. So there's something a wee bit different about her than how Kalishtar are in 5e. Which I can't reveal because secrets!
Secrets.
Yeah. So, oh, good. I'm glad. So I basically, to pull back the curtain a little bit. So this is using like the skeletal system of 5e and the skeletal creation, like character creation of 5e, but it's actually a blend of like 5e, Dungeon World, and maybe Powered by the Apocalypse. Also just my own whatever. There's a lot of homebrew here. If mechanics or things don't make sense, it's because they are specifically designed that way. So how's everyone, oh yeah, see, thank you, Matthew Foreman, for here. I don't know if any of you know anything about me, but I don't know anything about mechanics, so I was really, well, whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't need to explain myself to anybody. We're doing something great. So how are y'all feeling about how this is going? What are some thoughts about tonight's session? What's going through your heads?
I'm feeling all the guilties
For what?
for leaving people behind and not being able to promise that I wouldn't do it because I literally had just done it. I just wanted to make Lapis feel better, but I knew he could. I didn't know what to say to make Lapis feel better.
I was
That's
meant to.
okay.
Yeah, I meant like Lapis's internal processing was like when Tate said, "I know you can't trust me." Lapis's internal process was, "But I always trust Tate." And so Lapis just trusts Tate implicitly, and nothing Tate did actually changed that. He was like, "Yeah, like Tate doesn't need to say sorry to me because I get it. I didn't face my one." As soon as we were in front of it, I was like,
I?
yeah, but 3 out of 4, just because, yeah, I got in front of Lapis got in front of her shadow and she was like, no.
Yeah, that played out. I mean, surprising no one who's ever run a game ever. That did not play out the way that I thought that was going to play out at all. It was fascinating.
I thought about fighting mine, but realized I wouldn't. So I didn't.
That's fair.
Can you hear the purse?
I hear it in my soul.
Let me
Oh.
kinda.
I heard a little
Little motor. Little motor.
He's very heavy, so I'm not going to keep doing that. But
a boober.
How about Maria and Quinn?
It touched a lot of personal stuff. Which this was supposed to do. And a lot of it, like, I've worked through some of it, and a lot of it still is stuff that I'm working through. But it was so very interesting to do it in this kind of a space. And like how it's been said multiple times, this place is so safe. Like, everyone who's supporting and watching and everyone here, it's a very good place to be this, like, open about stuff that's just a lot.
I think that also, like, as someone running something like this, I'm like amazed that you all are like, here, I trust you with the parts of me that really hurt, like, a lot. And that you trust each other to say, here are the parts of me that really hurt. I think that's what gets me. I think. So thank you for sharing those parts of yourself with me. It's not easy, and we're doing it on stream. So it's many layers. Quinn, do you want to talk, or do you want a couple minutes? Do you want to share any thoughts?
I'm very bad at talking, as we've met.
You're great at talking. I don't know what you're saying.
You know what I mean.
I do.
Where we played Let's Watch Quinn deflect for 6 years while we try to have a conversation about Primrose.
Correct.
What's that? I haven't mentally been doing that for the past 48 hours. That's fine.
It's hard.
What are words? I feel like you could see there was a point in that session where my brain was like, and we're not Primrose anymore, we're not anyone anymore. Welcome to the defense mechanism that we're trying to break down in game and out of game. Haha. Shut up, Matthew. Just hush.
We know you and we love you.
Yeah. Part of me just wants to be like, oh, but they're secrets. They are secrets. They're also,
I mean, it's okay. You can totally that's the thing I think about these, like, unpackings here. Like, it's not the kind of campaign where, like, we have to keep all of our secrets until the big reveal, like, if you want to share it, like, please, by all means, share it. If you don't, you totally don't have to either.
Fluff. I don't know.
We can circle back.
Yeah.
We'll circle back. For the rest of you, I'm curious as to what your thoughts were when you went down. You've been going through this really lovely manor. It's been gentle and nice, challenging at times, but, like, overall pretty gentle. And then you made it down to the underbelly. And I'm curious what that was like for you, either as a player or in character. What happened to our tab?
The tavern went to sleep.
Tavern was like, I can't.
Like, I'm out.
Tate,
Nope.
go ahead.
Go.
No,
no,
you.
No,
No, you.
you. I'm loud. I can tell you go.
Tate didn't like that room because Anders didn't like that room.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
That's it. You go.
That's it. That's it.
Irene wanted to very much like this house. She's channeling a very interesting naivety that I held on to for a very long time. And I think in her mind, she thought that everything was going to be like Tate's shop and like the garden. And then it got more real and I don't know. I thought it was a very good like juxtaposition. I don't think Irene has had time to process it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lapis's reaction was interesting because Val was like, this is a room which is not supposed to be a good thing, but Lapis was like, this is a room where I don't have to hide, and this is finally a space where I don't feel the ugliness. And it was really interesting as Lapis to experience that, to a point where I was gonna message Emma at one point and say Lapis doesn't want to leave this room. I was having like when the door appeared, I was like, Lapis doesn't want to go. Lapis does not want to leave this room. And how is that gonna work mechanically? I was like,
We would
Lapis,
have figured it out.
Lapis, honey, I need you to go through that door so this party can stay together. But yeah, it was one of those, Lapis did not want to leave the room. And it was only by talking to Tate that she was convinced at all to go. Because, yeah, that was a very strong reaction from Lapis because we've been through this lovely manor and everything had been quite nice. And then we had a place where she was like, oh, this is good. And then everyone else didn't like it, which was confusing for Lapis because she doesn't have emotions, so she doesn't have the concept of liking things or things being good necessarily. But she just wanted to know that she just didn't have to hide in that room, and that room for Lapis was a good place, but also a bad place because the people with her were unhappy.
Primrose was about to turn into an elemental.
Boy, howdy.
That would've been
Because
tight.
fighting things, it's just Emma, we talk a lot about this, about just like living on like survival mode.
Yep.
And the second something threatening, it doesn't really matter where it's from, who did it, why it's there.
Yeah.
And
For
the
sure.
only reason she didn't is because she saw herself. And whether or not that corrupted shadow is reality or not, to her seeing that, that's what she sees. So, that was a lot for only Primrose.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that Primrose's fight and Tate was flight. Like very, very run away from this as fast as possible. It's very different.
Well, she was mostly going to fight all of yours.
You can fight mine for me. I would let you kill it.
Yeah,
Please kill it.
she will.
when you moonbeamed, when Primrose moonbeamed, the only reason, because I was like, as Lapis looking through my spells, like, which one can I fire at this stupid ass shadow? And then the moonbeam didn't work, and I was like, is the mature content filter on?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully, my gods.
And
Yeah.
if it's not, well,
Bollocks.
I was expecting something so much worse. Bollocks!
Bollocks. This is like a British one that's like worse in Britain. Yeah, so that didn't work, and I was like, God fucking damn it. And so
Yeah.
she was just like, well, you can fight me, bro. Gonna scoot round. Gonna wait for my friends, and you can go run away towards the bridge. I don't like you. Don't like you.
Yep.
Yeah, it was interesting. Val's reaction would have just been like, I will fight it. Lapis doesn't have those emotions, so she's just like, I will sidestep it. Num 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 num.
I will sidestep you. Are there other thoughts on that? I don't want to cut anybody off.
Those self things were a lot.
Yeah.
Just a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the shadow was gonna look like at all. Like everybody was talking about theirs. And the first thing in my head was it was literally just a shadow, like an empty void. And then I remembered what I tweeted about earlier about how when enough people tell you what you should be, you end up being an empty husk or a more of like a puppet. And I think the whole interaction that Irene had with their shadow is something that I've worked through on, like, I think that kind of was showing a little bit of like stuff that I've worked on, like telling myself that I am enough and that I don't have to live by these preconceived ideas of what people think I should be.
Yeah.
So that hit me a lot harder than I thought it would. It was very unexpected.
I think the most unexpected part of this evening was when Irene looked at herself in the mirror. My God.
That came out, that I was 100% not expecting that at all. I just happened to also be looking at my spell sheet and then thinking, what would I do if I was given the unlimited ability to do this spell? Because Irene she can do it as many times as she wants.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a deep cut that I was not expecting.
Yeah. So, hang on there, Pippin. Are there any other closing thoughts on tonight's session? Surprises, things you liked, things you didn't like? Oh, I guess we should do outros. We haven't even gotten there yet. Holy shit. Who am I? What are we doing? All right, let's do outros. During our outros, why don't you take a moment? They can be kind of longer. Take a moment to talk about a moment that surprised you or favorite moment sounds weird for a stream like this. Meaningful moment, maybe? A moment that was meaningful to you. Maybe it was your favorite. Maybe it just you just liked it. It played out well. I don't know. And tell us who you are, where we can find you, and any interesting things that you have going on. I don't remember the order that we went in, So why don't we start with Maria?
That's me.
That's
That's me. I'm Maria. You can find me at Happy Capster on Twitter, where I tweet about a lot of things, including all the stuff I'm doing, which I'll get to in a second. But first, we. I mean, we kind of briefly mentioned it, like the interaction that Irene had with that shadowy form of herself. Personally, it was a weird metaphor for a lot of things, and I wasn't anticipating it, but it really resonated. But I also love everything that Tate does ever, like sketching in that book, and I love your spell book, and that was delightful. As for what I'm doing these days, besides this, I'm in a very light and wholesome show on Thursday nights called Project VHS.
So wholesome.
So wholesome. We're totally not in a space void egg, and having a jolly good time. But no, we're in the voids of space, and I'm there with everyone. Everyone here. We're all there. We're all there on Thursday. And then Sunday night's another super wholesome, family-friendly show. Urban Shadows just started. We had session 2 yesterday of season 2, where all of Juneau, Alaska is just going to be burned to the ground because we're all terrible, awful people, and it's great and wonderful. And also, I am part of a project with my husband James. We are doing a thing called Goblin Society Games at goblinsocietygames.com or goblinsociety.com, whichever one. Or on Twitter at Society Goblins, where you can see all of our fun homebrewed 5e magic items and weapons and stuff. We got some secret planning and plotting for the new year, so follow now and be surprised later. Woo.
Sorry, I was like typing. So, all right, thank you so much. Please check Marie out and all the wonderful things that they do. Quinn.
Yes, hello, I'm Pyre, get out of here. Where are you?
Wow.
That's a
Wow.
That's my brain is here. I am
Woo.
present in the moment. I'm Quintastic _ on Twitter, which is where it's the hub TM. I am on, tomorrow's Tuesday. Tuesdays, there are also fun parties. A Velvet Soiree, I DM that. I made that. My players are having a great time, I hope, probably, as I torture them. It's fine, there's not a Lich and the Wand of Orcus at the same time. That would be absurd.
It's fine. It's fine.
That didn't happen in the same session. There were only 3 sessions left, so hop on in. The water's fucked. Fenris is gonna be fine, Anders. Don't worry about it.
It gets too bad. I'm just gonna punch things and release a bunch of dogs and go for the exit. So I'm good.
Yeah, that'll work. That'll definitely work. What else? I do the space thing where I am an arguably worse off character in space who is fucking me up. There's a lot. I'm rambling and we're live and I forgot that.
That's okay.
Because my brain isn't here. Sorry that I dissociated. That's Thursdays, and then I do the video games sometimes during the week. I was playing Prey for a while, but like, dear God, my life is stressful right now. And we're in space, and I don't need to think about more terrible things that can happen to me in space. So I think we're just gonna go back to Slime Rancher for a while.
Yep.
And be wholesome, and cry about our feelings. Do I do other things?
I make games.
You write games.
I do that. I have been told. Those are on my Twitter. I write games. I'm talking too much. I'm sorry.
Didn't you just release a new one, like,
Yep.
super recently?
Oh, Catharsis and shit?
Yeah.
Or From Which Lilac Sprung, which is like, I couldn't decide between the title, and I was like, go with both. Why not both?
Why not both?
That's a game. I'm really not good at selling myself right now. I don't feel good about myself right now, I'm not gonna lie. I make games. They're fun. There are theoretically 2 more coming out this month if I finish the game jams that I am a part of. Oops. Favorite quote-unquote moment of the night. One of the only wholesome moments of the night, which was all the birds after Irene's, when we just all had birds. Have some blurds. Birds.
Burps.
Burps. And Charisma 1, aka Kaya, has Nerd Out before. I don't know why I thought I was the person to do this, because it's before soiree. Nerd Out's great. Do the thing, watch the thing. I'm gonna shut up.
Yes. Both
Queen,
Nerd
I-
Out
Yeah.
and Velvet Soiree. All both good. But yeah, Nerd Out. Nerd Out is a talk show that Kaya recorded a while ago and is amazing and wonderful and talks to fantastic nerdy people about their wonderful passions that may or may not be related to the nerd community. Last week, she interviewed Tall Squall about things like D&D fitness and that whole community. So it's super great. I believe it's at, correct me in chat if I'm wrong, 7 p.m. tomorrow Eastern Standard Time? If I'm wrong, please shout it to the world, but I think it's somewhere around there.
Yeah, because it's right before Velvet Soiree.
Yeah. Go watch it,
Okay.
it's great.
It's really good.
Go watch it. She's
Oh yes, Matthew
so
W.
good.
Foreman will be on this week. If you've seen the thumbnail, it's a thumbnail.
Yeah, it's pretty great. So this
Yeah.
week they're going to be talking about mental health and post-con blues because they filmed this at Gen Con. And so that was kind of like a topic at the time. Is he in a harness? He'll have to tune in to find out.
Is
Kaya
she in a
also in a
harness?
harness? Yeah, there it is.
what did
That's right.
You should totally watch it, Val.
watch it.
Watch
No, Valexi, it stopped working.
Oh no. All right. Oh, hey, let's Val. Tell us
Hi.
about you. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Val. I think. Who knows? Life is crazy. Hi, I'm Val. I am the Nerdy Niffler on Twitter. Listen. I'm just good at selling my friends, okay? I'm good at that. Emma's great. Maria's great. Anders is great. And also so handsome with his new haircut. Wow. That distracted me a lot. I was like,
Correct.
Anders, my goodness. And also, Quinn is great. And we love all of you. What am I doing? Tomorrow I'm on Scraticus. We're doing the Weave system.
Oh, yeah.
That's at 6
Hell yeah.
p.m. EST. So that's gonna be fun. I have no concept, but it was like, Weave, tarot cards, I'm in. And then on a Thursday, we're in space. Great. Eggplant Hellscape. Fridays, I do Courts of the Shadow Fae, where we have just had Goblin Law and Order. So that was wild. A bunch of old ladies whispered secrets to us over knitting. So that's the kind of tone. And I think then back here for Grimm Femmes. I'm good at outros. Hi everybody. My favorite moment was quote unquote oh geez, I loved all of it. It's one of those games that's like I'll like I love it so much despite it's like a lot, but like I love it a lot, and it's just great. It's verbalizing everything Tate does. Primrose and her shadow. Maria with the line with the home line that really got me for some reason, which was like it's I can't remember what it was exactly. I had it through my head the whole thing, but it was something like, it's not exactly my home, but it's home. And I was like, oh. Oh. And yeah, just the whole experience. I'm really glad to be part of this. I'm really glad this is such a safe space. And I'm really glad that this is a journey that I'm taking with y'all because it just feels like a very comfortable, safe, open, loving space to have these kind of conversations and tabletop moments with. That's my time. I'm Val. Goodbye.
And that takes us to Anders.
Hi, I'm Anders. You can find me at Anders_D_K on the internet. I do things here. I do the Velvet Soiree dinner party things, and I do the space thing on Thursday, and I do this thing right now that's happening at this moment in time. And also I do the Variety of the Games thing. Right now today is the last day to get my 2 games for free because they're no longer going to be pay what you want. They're going to both increase to be $3 because I'm trying to raise money for my next game, which was going to just be like a 4-page thing, but now it's 12 pages and it's not done.
There it is.
It's growing. It's getting very big.
That's right.
And I don't art, and artists deserve to be paid very, very well because they do really awesome stuff. So,
That's right.
And
raising
Anders should
money.
be deserved all of your money because Anders makes great games. So
Oh my god.
pay
yep.
Anders for their games because it's worth it and they're worth it.
Well, thank you. That's me. In terms of this game tonight, 2 thingies. One memorable favorite, Maria and the Mirror. It was a lot, and it was very, very relatable, and there was a lot of feelings going on, and also sharing those feelings, and it was a lot. But it was also very good, but a lot, but good. And then also, final thoughts. I not enjoyed, but I appreciated. I mean, I enjoyed tonight, but I appreciated kind of having an opportunity to stare down and in this case run from, which is not necessarily the healthiest thing to do, but is very relatable and has happened many times in my life. Kind of like your old person, you know, like when you have a dead name, but you also have just like a dead self, and like getting to like look at them and be like, nope, peace out, bye. I appreciated that as a trans player playing a trans character. So thank you for that, Emma.
Hell yeah. Oh, that's me. It's me now.
Yeah.
Everybody went. Okay. Hello. I am Emma. You can find me at MK Hansen on Twitter. What am I doing? I'm doing this on Mondays. It's a project with these amazing humans that just floor me every fucking time we play. And on Thursdays, Project VHS right here, 8 p.m. Eastern, run by Dan Gaston, and also has Taryn in it, and all of us. It is an occult science fiction horror game. Please swing by and join us. It's really good, y'all. It's really, really good. And then Tuesdays, I'm not going in order of the days of the week because I don't know them. Tuesdays tomorrow, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, I play Mixed Magpie on Dragon Heisters over on Dice Priori. Please swing by and check that out. We will be going on a pretty long hiatus for a while after tomorrow, so swing by, see what happens. We will be on break after that. And that's all I'm doing right now, which is a weird and lovely thing to say. That's it, right? I mean, I guess like I don't, as like a GM, I don't really like have like a favorite moment, but like watching you all, like, again, I said this last week, but like seeing you all just like take these things and like run with them and like make that, like, you're just growing yourselves in them, and it's lovely to see. And you know, I don't know how any of these moments will unfold, and then I often feel like I'm trying to keep up with you all, like, and I'm the one over here trying to like make the world, and I'm like, okay, we got this, we're gonna do this now, I believe in you. So that's been like a lot of fun. And thank you for doing this with me and for trusting me with you all and with yourselves. This has been great, and I'm really proud of you all, and I'm so happy to know you. And that's it. So thank you for hanging out with us today. We unfortunately will not be here next Monday. I've got a thing. I'm sorry. But then we will be back, and C will hopefully be back with us with Billion. If you like what we do here in Variant Roles, go ahead and follow if you haven't. Subscribe if you are able to. Check out our Patreon. All the links are, you know, up there. I don't know which direction, or down there. You can also check out Variant Roles on Twitter to stay afloat of all of the things that we are doing. You can check out all of us on Twitter. And there's a lot of amazing stuff going on this month. Yes, Maria.
I was gonna say we're not gonna be here next week, but if I'm not mistaken, on at least on Sunday, is there anything happening next Monday? Spoopy Halloween time? Games?
No, it's next Sunday.
Sunday. Okay. Well, there's
Next
a game
Sunday.
next Sunday you can check out instead.
And actually, next Thursday on Halloween, you can check out the crew from Project VHS. However, I will be running us through some Invisible Sun. We are going to find... Yes.
I forgot a thing, but you finish your thing first.
That's it. Just come watch some Invisible Sun spooky stuff. We're going to find out what Samhain looks like over in Saturnine. And
I forgot. Saturday, it's another Unmade Gaming Extra Life charity stream. And
Right, I'm doing that.
The 7 p.m. game will be game mastered by me, and we will be playing some Halloween themed Honey Heist. So
hell yeah.
And I'll be playing in the 10 a.m. game, 10 to 1 Eastern. It's a game, something about witches, and that's all. I don't know what the name is, and it's great, and I'm gonna be a little witch person, and it's gonna be great.
Spookies for kids.
Yes, for the children's.
All right, so I think we will take our leave. I'm not sure if we have anybody around who can help us raid. Don't you need a special mod to do that? What is it? Hashtag? No, / raid? Is that what it is? Raid?
I think so.
Raid? Let's do... Who is up?
Thanks,
Straticus.
Straticus is up.
Let's see if I can do this. Straticus. Oh my god, I can do it! All right,
you have the power.
Straticus. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Go self-care. Be kind to yourselves. We love you. Be great.
Goodbye.